My name is Neil Buttery. I work for University of Bristol as an HR business partner. Yeah, so as HR business partner, my role is related to the employee relations side of HR. So I work with managers to support them through cases with members of staff. So whether that be disciplinary cases, whether it be absence cases, whether it be complex sort of flexible working, just trying to support the managers to manage their staff to the best of their ability. So I started off in financial services actually. I ended up in a sales role, which just didn't suit me. The environment wasn't something that appealed to me. It was your typical sort of a sales environment, and it just doesn't suit my personality. So I took the choice to leave that and to move into the University of Bristol. The reason I wanted to join was about the culture I think that exists within the university sector, and it suits my personality and my style a bit more. So I took a basic admin role just to get myself away from the sales environment and into the university. I'd always had the plan that longer term I wanted to end up in HR. I've done a little bit of HR temp work in the past. And yeah, it took a couple of years from that point to get into the HR role. But yeah, I ended up as an HR administrator at the time. And from then I've managed to progress up the ranks, so to speak, and now I'm HR business partner. I think it's down to the wider objectives of the university. For me, it's about that sense of belonging almost, because we are training the next generation of leaders, of medics. And I think it's just that satisfaction you get from knowing that you genuinely are making a difference. And for me, working in private sector, I didn't have that. Selling pensions, it wasn't something that really you could get that much satisfaction from, other than that sort of that little buzz, I suppose, you get from a successful sale. I think with the university and with higher education in particular, knowing the impact you're having on young people's lives, even if not directly involved, I say you do get that satisfaction. So my role, I don't have much interaction directly with the students. However, the area of the university I look after does. So I look after a lot of the residential staff. So obviously people providing the catering and sort of the more facilities side for those students. So I know that has a huge impact on their life, especially in their first year when they're in the halls. If we can provide them with the service that they need, with the accommodation that they need, you can guarantee almost they're not going to have a successful time at the university. So yeah, knowing that I can support the managers to support their staff, to therefore support the students, it can provide a huge level of satisfaction. I think it's about the people, if I'm honest, and I think it's about their motivation. For me, the experience I've had working in financial services, there was a lot of people who were just doing it for a job, and then there was more on the sales side. It was all about them. It was all about their own goals, and it wasn't about their wider objectives. I think with the university, the majority of people there, they're a different kind of person, I suppose, much more of a team aspect to it. And just, I think, a different attitude to life, I suppose. And so thinking about the wider impact on people rather than purely about themselves. For me, that was a big driver. And I think that's something that suits me and fits my personality style more than the private sector. So I've been quite fortunate in that the university did pay for my training, my HR training. So I did a level 5 in HR management, and so that was funded by the university. Alongside that, we do have our staff development team who provide training courses on anything that we could possibly be interested in, really, alongside web-based training as well. So we have access to different platforms that provide either short courses or longer courses on any subject that you could possibly be interested in, whether that be software skills, whether that be personal development, whether that be career management. So I think we are fortunate in that regard, and that we have dedicated teams that are there to provide support and development for staff. As I say, for me doing my role now, I couldn't do this without having done my HR management training. And again, it was provided to me by the university. Well, I think because we're a university, obviously with large amount of students, there are facilities that are there partly for the students, but also for the staff. You know, a couple of doors along from my building, we have the gym, huge, massive, up-to-date gym that just had a huge remodel. Lots of money gone into that to make sure it's sort of state-of-the-art equipment. 10 minutes away, we've got the university swimming pool. So again, in terms of the physical well-being and therefore the impact on your mental well-being, we have facilities there. Huge drive to try and encourage people to cycle and walk and run to work rather than use the car. So again, trying to put the motivation there, I suppose, for staff to be able to use other means of transport and make sure the facilities are provided on site for all staff to be able to do this. In my building, I have showers, I have facilities to be able to store my cycling equipment, for instance. So again, encouraging us away from the use of vehicles. Alongside that, we have university staff lounge. We have a nice old 17th century manor house that we use as a staff lounge. So it's a beautiful setting with a cafe inside it, purely for staff and postgrad students. We also have the cafes. So in the library next to my building, we have one of our local little cafes, which is part of the area that I look after. We have what we call the Hawthorns, which is a cafe and bar as well, aimed at students and staff. We have access to the Students' Union building, which again has a bar and cafe in it. Wherever you go, basically on the university precinct, there are cafes, there are facilities available, both for staff and students. And I think that's an important thing, actually, that we're not sort of segregating in any way. We're not saying this is students and staff only go here. It's trying to interact and trying to build that community within the university. We've had a big push recently looking at our well-being, mostly on the mental health side of things, recognising that there has been a stigma around mental health, and the more we can do as an organisation to try and make sure that we're talking about these things, that we're making facilities available to staff, I think the better we're going to be able to support our staff. So we have staff counselling, for instance. We have an employee assistance programme available through our pension provider. We have a huge amount of information available through our website in terms of mental well-being. And then, as I said earlier, the physical well-being side as well. So I think no matter where you are in your life, what issues you might be facing, how you're feeling at the time, there's information and there's facilities there to help and develop you. One of the key things, more on the creative side, I suppose, for me, I quite like software. So I've been quite lucky in that I've been able to develop our own case management system. So this did mean working with IT and with other departments to try and build something that sat on the university servers, but that was purely dedicated to HR professionals to help us in our jobs, I suppose, really help us manage the cases that we're supporting managers with. So this is something that's over and above my standard role, but my manager was very supportive, gave me extra time, put a bit of support in place to be able to backfill me, to be able to dedicate time to developing this system. And I think, again, it just goes to show that flexibility in the role. I think there is a perception that sometimes universities and public sector can be very bureaucratic, I suppose, and it's all about the rules. But I think this helps to show that that's not the case. There is the flexibility. We have a bit more rule and definition maybe than other organisations, but that doesn't mean that it can't be flexed when it's required to be so. Probably the key thing, I think, is being prepared for the fact that some policies maybe are, they maybe take a bit longer, I think, than in the private sector. However, I'd counter that with doing the right thing for staff. It's not a cutthroat environment. It is more about supporting staff and making sure that people are given the opportunities to maybe improve if that's what the issue is. So as I say, things are possibly do take more time, but for the right reasons. And I think if your attitude is one of trying to support staff and develop people, then the university will definitely be the right place for you.